Check, 1, 2, check. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rescue Owners Live. My name is KIRK MOTE, and you are on with the one and only Beth MOTE. If this is your first time joining us, let us know where you are tuning in from in this world. We're coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Braves, home of the Georgia State Panthers. Yes, I follow them because I graduated from there. So listen, if this is your first time joining us, our mission at Rescue Owners Live is to help business owners like you grow your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably, all while achieving your personal, professional, financial goals. Today is going to be a continuation of our conversation about steps to mastering objections. So last week we started that conversation. We had a very special guest, Holly Jackson, join us on the second half of the episode. And so we wanted to pick up the conversation about mastering objections. Before I do, I kind of want to tell y'all a little bit about a commitment that we made together. She's like, uh-oh, which one? So as you know, to the extent you take your body seriously, you take your business seriously. And so what we've decided to do is sign up for an ultra marathon. Can you believe that? I mean, I can, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, technically it's the second one. So
yeah, it is the second one.
It's the first official.
It's going to be the first official with a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And a medal, hopefully.
So someone have engaged that you actually did what you said you did.
Exactly. I mean, like my Garmin definitely can prove. I didn't put the Garmin on the dog, so yeah, it's definitely.
Well, I don't think the dog would move as slow as you did.
Wow. Yeah, the first question I asked Beth was, "Hey, what's the time cap? Because I want to make sure I can at least finish the race." And she's like, "Yeah, you good." It was funny because the guy that invited Beth, I didn't get the invite, by the way. So a guy texted Beth and was like, "Hey, so I'm doing this ultra. You want to do it? I know you're a runner type thing." And she's like, "Sure." So Beth is like, "Hey, KIRK, you want to do this with me?" I'm like, "Sure." And so I texted the guy who originally texted Beth. I was like, "Hey, I'm going to do it." And his response, he goes, "That's a nice goal."
I don't think I knew that.
Yes, I'm sorry. I meant to tell you. So,
that's
like, yeah,
really
because that's
funny.
a nice goal. If you know me, you know that I'm not a runner at all. But I am stretching myself because, again, as we all know here, to the extent you take your body seriously, you'll take your business seriously. And the first thing that people look at is your body when you go to sell them something. And steps to handling objections is no exception. So if you're trying to sell someone, especially fitness, right? I mean, if you're trying to sell them a diet plan, if you're trying to sell them, physical fitness training, if you're at a CrossFit gym and you're a coach, whatever that looks like, and you're not physically fit yourself, why would they want to buy your product?
Yeah.
And that really goes for pretty much every product out there. And so I would highly encourage you, if that's something that you struggle with, I mean, my hand's up in the air. I get it. I definitely don't like running, but I made a commitment. It's May 14th. Is that right? May 14th?
I think so.
I
Sounds
so.
right.
The Chakalaka, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Did I get the name right? Okay. It's in Alabama. What a cool name, right? So listen, if you are joining us for the first time, let us know where you are tuning in from in the chat. We love an active chat. And that tells us where you're coming in from, as well as any questions that you might have throughout the night. So feel free to ask questions throughout the night. We want to know what kind of objections you're getting, and we would love to show you some, easy ways to overcome those options. Because listen, if you're not doing sales training every day, if you're not doing role play every day, if you're not doing these things, then guess what? You're practicing on your clients. And you look at professional athletes, and they don't practice the day of the game, right? No, they're practicing all week. In fact, they're practicing all season. In fact, they're practicing, spring training and throughout the summer.
Because it's their job.
Because they're a professional. Like, that's the word I want to key in on here, right? Is professional. When you look at the word professional, they do things even when they don't want to and even when they don't feel like it. Okay. And so that's one thing I want you to be aware of, is making the commitment to being a professional in the profession you chose. So whatever industry that is, Make that commitment to be a professional.
And it's not a matter of motivation. It's a matter of discipline.
Yeah.
Because you're not always going to feel like it, just like he was saying. And motivation is, oh, I'm feeling motivated. So it's a feeling, and you're not going to always feel like doing things. So it's important to get it to be discipline versus motivation. So it's just, hey, when I get up in the morning, before I do X, Y, and Z, before I start making calls, before I go out and do demos, I will do sales training. I will do role play with someone. I will make sure that this happens. And it's just a part of your routine. It just happens.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because to the extent you take that seriously and make that commitment, you'll take your business seriously. So make sure that you are doing sales training every day. Because listen, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, 10X, you see the hat. I mean, I use Cardone University. I'm a licensee. I not only train on the content every day, but we also are consultants and go out and help other people on the content as well. So Grant Cardone is not the perfect guy, right? So you don't have to.
No one is.
Yeah, no one is. And no single training is going to be perfect for everyone. So like, a product for everyone is a product for no one. Okay. Yeah. So there might be someone out there that's perfect for your industry. Listen, it doesn't matter what sales training you use, but for heaven's sakes, get some sales training, because what that's going to do for you is going to sharpen you as a sales professional. If you are not constantly on a daily basis doing sales training, you think you know it all. You've been in the industry 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Oh, I've seen it all. Blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Times are changing. Technology is changing. You need to be up to date with the new demographics and psychographics of your audience and your prospects.
And even if truly nothing has changed, which isn't going to be the case with sales, but even if truly nothing has changed, it's like a professional piano player. Things haven't changed with piano in the sense of the basics like scales and chords and all of that. But guess what? They still do that every single day. Those are things that they practice every single day, because they know if they have that solid foundation and they keep making sure that it's 100% there, there's no cracks, there's no chips, there's no anything, then they're going to perform so much better based off of doing that. A dancer, they do the basics every single day, where they're practicing the small parts of what make, their larger, crazy, amazing moves that make the show amazing. But they do it every day. It's not something that they learn it and they go, oh, that's below me.
Yeah. So like, the basics are just that, the basics, but you got to, continue to do this every single day consistently. Consistency is the answer here, because it's funny. I'm going to use a fitness example again. Okay. When you get out of shape, people are like, oh, I'm going to hit the gym for 4 hours on a Saturday and fix it. No, you just can't do it. What you have to do is be consistent over time. And guess what? You're going to lose that weight. But not only consistency in the gym, it's consistency with your sleep. It's consistency with your diet. And those are two factors, or I guess it's three total factors, but two factors that most people don't even consider when working out. They're like, oh, I'm going to lose weight, I got to work out. No. Like there's what you fuel your body, and then there's the recovery. So huge part, same thing with your business. There are aspects of your business that have to work in conjunction. And if you're not doing daily sales training, you're not going to be able to close properly, because you're going to be hit with that rejection and you're not going to know how to handle it. And you're going to just be like, oh, have a nice day.
Yeah, it's important. The recovery aspect of sales training is the actual training versus going out and applying it. Same thing, the practicing versus the applying. You want to make sure you're constantly going back and practicing when no one's watching, when there's no stress, when you can mess up and it's fine and it doesn't matter. Nothing is on the line. And that's what's going to allow you, once you're under pressure, to perform really well.
100%. Well, what I like to do is kind of give a recap of what we talked about last week. So if you missed it, make sure to go back. It's a great episode. Steps to mastering objections. Number 1 is commit. Number 2, responsibility. Number 3, define real objection. Number 4 is identify location. Number 5 is identify objection versus sales process. 6 is prepare until you can predict. 7, practice till you master. And number 8 is work on objections every single day. If you want the full detail behind every one of those 8, go back to last week's episode. It's on YouTube. You can find it on this, on the feed of our Facebook or LinkedIn as well. So speaking of, if you are watching us live, you are probably watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. So thank you for doing so. What I would like you to do at this moment is go ahead and hit that share button in the bottom corner of your screen. What that's going to do is allow the people in your network to hear what we had to say tonight. Because I guarantee you there's someone in your network that needs to hear how to overcome objections, because whether it's, trying to convince a spouse that they want to go to a certain restaurant, or whether they're trying to convince a client that they need to buy this product, or anywhere in between, there's going to be something for you here tonight. So do me a huge favor, hit that share button, and we'll get kicked off strong. All right. Types of objections. You got the internal objection, the external objection, the valid, but this is the objection, but won't keep buyer from closing, right? And which is a great thing to say, by the way, when people hit you with an objection, oh, that wouldn't keep you from purchasing the product, would it? I mean, I use that all the time. That wouldn't stop you from committing to the future success or whatever you're selling, right? Speaking of selling, so I had we created a sales agency, and what that looks like is we serve those who don't have a sales team. So we have a team of salespeople, and what that looks like is if you're a coach, if you're a person who puts on their own events but does not have their own sales team, you hire someone like us, Rescue Site Sales Agency, and we come in the day of your events. And what we do is we sell your audience on your behalf. So it takes the stress off of you. You can focus on the events, and we just, help you out, which is great. So if that's someone that or that's you, love to have that conversation of how we can help you grow your business by having us as a sales team for you at your events. Number 5 is an invalid type of objection. You got the spoken, and then the most dangerous of them all. Are you ready? It's the unspoken objection. The unspoken objection is the objection that they're not telling you. And that is the most dangerous objection of them all. So I'd like to give you a couple secrets. All right. A couple secrets about objections. Secret number 1, you are the creator of every objection and must take full responsibility for whatever the objection. I'm going to read that again. You are the creator of every objection and must take full responsibility for whatever the objection might be. Okay, so it's funny. People buy from you how you buy when you're the buyer. Okay, does that make sense? So when you're trying to sell someone on a product or service, people that you're attracting to you as a prospect are going to respond to you how you will respond when you're the buyer. Those are the types of just take take a seat or look at it from a bird's eye view for a second and write down all the objections you're hearing on a daily basis. I guarantee you those are the same objections that you're using when you're the buyer for whatever you're purchasing. And
it's interesting to become aware of that and just start noticing when you don't immediately buy, okay, why? What did I say? What was my objection? Was that my real objection? And start thinking it through from your end as well, just so you can sort of get into the mind of the buyer as well.
Yeah. So I'll give you a great example. So I was at a 10X Growth Con event, actually. One of Grant's sales guys came up to me and said, "Hey, are you ready to pull the trigger on this particular package?" I was like, I can't remember what objection I gave him. I think it might've been a price objection or something. And his response to me was, "Hey, that's my fault, not yours." I was like, "What do you mean it was your fault? Time out." I was like, "What do you mean it was your fault? Not mine?" He goes, "Because if you had heard of me 90 days previous and been on this platform, Cardone University, 90 days previous, we wouldn't even be having this conversation that you don't feel like you have enough money to be able to pay for it." I was like, wow. I was like, "Ooh, that's good. I'm going to use that." I wrote it down. We're now on Cardone U, and we use Cardone U every single day. And it is a huge part of our business, and it should be a huge part of your business. And so if that's something that you are not on, contact us, support@rescuesiteservices.com. If you would just throw that in the chat. So that is our email that you can send any kind of questionnaires to, and like we'll get that answered and handled to you immediately, because we want to be able to service you. Because look, our mission and like the opening of Rescue Owners Live is to create a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. That is our vision. But for Rescue Owners Live, our mission is how we're accomplishing that. So we're accomplishing that vision by helping business owners like yourself grow more effectively, efficiently, and profitably, all while achieving your personal, professional, financial goals. Secret number 2. The most dangerous objection is the unspoken. Now, I kind of hinted towards that a bit ago, so I won't go into huge detail here, but I want you to know that like there is an objection that someone is not telling you. That might be the biggest secret. Okay, so like you got to ask quality questions. The quality of your questions determine the quality of your results, and if you're not asking good questions that are good fact-finding questions, then you're going to get terrible results. And so make sure that those fact-finding questions are questions that have a purpose and a reason behind it, because when you ask certain questions, you're going to get an answer, but there's also going to be a hidden answer in there that you were able to discover based off how you asked it, when you asked it, and who you asked it to.
And you'll see too, the better your questions get, the more likely they'll be answered exactly what you're asking, versus either avoided, not answered at all, or, they give you an answer, but it's not terribly helpful.
And for those who don't have a sales process, by the way, like fact finding is a part of the sales process. It's a major part of the sales process, because you're going to be able to ask certain questions like, hey, are you ready to, upgrade your account or to XYZ? Are you ready to, attend, this event at the VIP level? And then you're going to get an answer, and they're going to say yes or no. And if you get a maybe, it's like,
well, and it's best to avoid yes and no questions.
Right.
You want to have more open-ended questions to get them to talk a little bit more. And honestly, like if you don't have these kind of questions, if you don't have a sales script, that's another great reason to get sales training, because I know at least with Card on You, I can't speak for all the sales training courses out there, but at least with Card on You, they do go through saying, hey, if you don't have a sales script, we're going to talk through what that should look like in this, segment. We're going to give you a PDF to fill out and breakdown of like, hey, it should say, hi, my name is blank. I'm from blank. And it helps you to fill that out. Now, obviously with like fact finding questions, they're going to give examples of ones, but you're going to have to figure out what works best for you, for your company. And that's going to be something you'll figure out over time. But in order to find the best questions, you really have to have that solid framework built up first, so that you can plug and play different questions and be like, okay, this one had awesome results. Everyone is answering it. It's super helpful information. This one, half the people are really fighting me to answer, and it really wasn't that beneficial anyway. It just made the conversation harder overall. So you're going to be able to see what's helpful, what's not, and start defining and just mastering how you're going to say things, basically.
Yeah, so like a great intro there would be, hey, my name is Kirk with Rescue Sites. The reason for the call is I help CPR instructors just like you grow 3 times in 90 days, and give them like a crazy claim like that. Let me ask you, and this is your first fact-finding question: are you still a CPR instructor? And that's a lot of times that's my first, because if they're not, then it's like, okay, well, the conversation's over. It's like, you're not my audience anymore. Boom. We're done.
And you can like change, conversation to see if there is anything else there that you can help them with.
Right. So if they say no, I was like, oh man, so what are you doing now? And then now I'm on a whole nother track, because we have so many arms of the business. I guarantee there's something that we can provide for him that will still help him grow his business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably.
And again, at the end of the day, too, it's important to be creating relationships. So it's not just you and then your clients, people directly buying from you. It may be someone that, you can provide value to. You can create a relationship, even if they can't give you anything in return. And down the road, maybe that person is able to connect you with someone else who's helpful. But regardless, you're building your network by not just, okay, thanks, have a good day, bye. but trying to, at least still connect with that person in some level to see if there's anything that you can help them with.
Love that. Secret number 3. Most objections are complaints and should not be handled as objections. Let me give you a great example. Hey, this is Kirk with Rescue Site Services. The reason for the call, not interested. Not interested, they're going to say. Don't have time. And the normal person is going to be like, man, so sorry to bother you. Have a nice day. But if you understand that not interested at that point in the conversation is merely a complaint, not an actual objection, then you're able to answer that complaint like this. Hi, this is Kirk with Rescue Site Services. The reason for the call, not interested. Of course you're not interested, sir. The reason you're not interested is because you don't have enough information to be interested. Allow me to ask you. And then you go into your first fact-finding question. Like, have something to say. And if you know you're going to be hit with certain objections like not interested, I don't have time right now. But if they really don't have time right now, why do they answer the phone? They answer the phone.
There was anticipation for a conversation of some sort.
Yes. So if they answer the phone and they give you the time objection, dude, you can handle that so easily. So make sure that you're able to properly respond to objections as complaints and treat them as such. And that's secret number 3 is you want to treat objections more like complaints, because when you handle them like complaints, you're just able to continue on with your sales process as if nothing ever happened. And then pretty soon they're like, well, I guess that didn't really matter.
Well, and
forget about it.
You're either going to have them, if they legit don't want to talk to you, they're going to straight up hang up on you. And that's not to say don't call them back. But if they stay on the line after saying, I don't have time or I'm not interested or whatever, they're interested enough to not hang up on you.
Yep.
Because, again, people will definitely just hang up on you if they just don't want to talk. Like that, there's still a level of interest there at the point that they have not hung up on you.
That's right. That's right. Secret number 4, objections are never a reason not to close or stop the sale. So listen, when you hear the not interested or the price objection or the time objection or anywhere in between, it's not a reason to stop the sales process, because guess what? To her point, they're still on the call or they're still in front of you. They haven't walked away or hung up. So you just continue on with your conversation as if nothing ever happened. And it's amazing that you're able, like, on the whole, people aren't going to hang up on you. Now, there's a few people out there that fit into that category. And
it'll depend, too, on what industry you're in, I would say.
That's true. So, it depends what type of person you're calling, the psychographics, the demographics, and you just got to know your avatar. And what I mean by that is, your prospect. What do they look like, right? Mm-hmm. What do they talk like? Where are they living? What kind of books are they reading? Are they reading books? You see what I'm saying?
What's important to them?
Exactly. Where are they going to dinner? What are they doing on the weekends? These are all questions you ask yourself on the avatar. And if you're able to relate to your avatar, the better you know the avatar, the better you're able to relate to them.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, right there in the mud with them as a blue collar worker, right? Mm-hmm. And so you want to make sure that you can actually relate at some level to the person you're trying to sell. That is secret number 4. And moving on to secret number 5. There is only one, I repeat, one objection, never more than one, ever. And that is what you have to figure out, what their true objection is, so you can properly handle it. If you don't ask good quality fact-finding questions to get to the bottom of their objection, and by the way, their DBM, their dominant buying motive, DBM, then you've missed out on an opportunity. You wasted that call, and you're no closer to closing that prospect. Because if you know their true objection, and if you know that their dominant buying motive is, then you're able to put those together, and oh man, it is amazing. So have you ever looked up words before, those defined words? Mm-hmm. Very important. So objection defined, a reason or argument offered in disagreement opposition, refusal, or disapproval. The act of objecting, opposing, or disputing. A ground or cause for objecting. A feeling of disapproval, dislike, or disagreement. Sales objections. Okay, so we talked about objection. Now let's say the sales objection defined. So defined as a statement or questions raised by the prospect, which can indicate an unwillingness to purchase or make a decision, right? The objections include price. They include terms, legal, product, timing, company. You could be an objection.
Yeah.
The competition, the economy, the gas prices, third party, data confusions, or lack of information. By the way, when people call into your business, they're calling for one reason and one reason alone, and that is for information. If you're taking notes tonight, write that down. People call you, inbound calls are calling you for information. You should answer the phone every single time. This is Kirk with Rescue Sites. What can I get you information on? And boom, cut to the chase. They know who you are. They know that they called the right place because you said the name of the company. And then what can I get you information on? Now you're servicing them. So powerful.
Also, for what it's worth, asking people they can put you on hold immediately. Very annoying.
Oh my gosh.
Very annoying.
No one likes that.
Try to have that happen either very infrequently or not at all. Preferably not at all. So it's just not the best first impression when you pick up. Because I know we have a favorite Chinese place, and
it's a new one actually.
Sometimes pick up and I'll be like, "Can you hold?" Yes. And immediately after, seconds later, someone will go, "Hey, can I help you?" And I'm like, I wonder why they didn't wait like one more ring until there was someone there that could, because it just flavors the way that you feel about the interaction. So super important to answer phone extremely excited, happy, bubbly. Hey, thank you for calling Rescue Site. This is Beth. How can I help you? You just have a nice
Smile.
response. Yes, smile. It's helpful. It's very helpful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anybody who's worked in sales or call centers or anything that requires a lot of phone calls, smile. It helps so much.
So this is super important. So listen, if you haven't hit the share button yet, go ahead and do that right now, because someone in your network needs to hear this part of objection handling. Steps to determine valid or invalid objections. Okay, this is huge. So get your pens and pencils ready. Hit that share button. This is going to be major. I got 7 steps for you. So here we go. Number 1 is listen. You need to listen. You've heard it. You got 2 ears, 1 mouth. You need to listen way more than you talk. You ask a question, let them talk. Let them talk. Take notes. You need to have this right here at all times, pen and piece of paper, ready to transcribe or write your notes down for exactly what they're saying, because that is so important. Because so often people are not listening and they're just thinking about what they're going to say next.
Well, that's why it's so important to have a sales script, because if you don't have it down really well, even if you have one, if you don't have it down really well, you're constantly thinking, oh, okay, this is what I say next. And you're not even paying attention to what they're telling you. Or you're thinking, oh no, they just said that. That messes up what I'm supposed to say next in my sales script. So what do I do? And again, you're not listening. So it's super important. Ask a question, then immediately focus on what they're saying. Take notes, write it all down, and store it in your CRM. And then as soon as they start to finish
What's
up
the CRM?
Customer relationship management, basically just where you store all your information on your customers.
A lot of people don't use it.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Even know
they don't.
The acronym CRM.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Keep track of people that they've contacted or have contacted them. The second someone texts me, called me, I meet them at the gym for the first time, anywhere. You know what I do? This is what I do. I get on my phone and put their name in my phone. I take a picture of them and then with them. Okay, and then I text them a picture with them. So now we both know each other's number and we know where we met, what clothes we were wearing, and like that picture is going to stimulate, an experience that happened when we met. And so super powerful. This a little tidbit, like completely random off the side of the road here, but I wanted to let you know that.
It's also good to take notes just because you might not always remember that person's name or the company they worked with. You're like, oh, I know it was a landscaping business, or I know it was a roofing business, but I cannot remember the name of the business name. Well, if you at least took notes of like roofing business or something somewhere in your CRM, then you can search that. And, or even like if you have a contact in your phone, it's always smart to add in extra things like in the notes section or under the description. There's little spots you can put extra stuff. And it's always good to add extra things in there so that when you go, oh, I met them at my gym, so I can look up Dwala. Okay, cool. They were from there. I remember now it was this person. And then you can use the photo feature to find them. But otherwise you're scrolling through hundreds of contacts trying to find a specific photo. So the photo is something that's helpful once you find the actual contact. So just make sure.
Are great too.
Yeah.
So like sometimes if it's really obscure, it's like, oh, I met this guy at this location. He was wearing this kind of shirt, just to kind of jog my memory, right? Like,
whatever is going to help you remember.
A nickname, even. Like, I mean, that's we use nicknames a lot. Yeah. So number 1 is listen. Number 2 is acknowledge. So important. If you notice, when Beth says something and then I get back to talking, I will acknowledge what she said. I'm not 100%. I mean, I get that. But my goal is to acknowledge like what she said and then tie back into my next point. Okay? So make sure that you do the same when you are talking to a prospect, because they want to know that they have been heard.
And it helps you to actually listen too.
Yeah.
Has dual help.
Yeah. So it's really, okay, when you're on the phone and you're not face to face, I mean, you can do such a good job because you can just take notes and they can't even see you do it. And it's just like, man, when you do the acknowledgement step, you're like, so what I understand is this, and this. Is that correct? And they're like, well, dang, he heard me. Right. And so, but when you're in face to face, that's why you do it, on the phone first, so you can practice the skill of listening where people are watching you. And then when you start to build that memory bank, then you're able to properly listen and acknowledge. Now you can do it face to face at an event. Yeah. Super powerful.
Still good to take notes. If you can't do them while you're talking, then take it afterwards. As soon as the conversation is over, as soon as they walk away, take notes, because you will forget it really quickly.
I'll take notes in person too sometimes, by the way. Like I'll literally
just depends on the conversation.
Depends on the conversation. Like, first of all, like if I'm taking someone to breakfast, I have a notepad with me and I'm taking notes. I'm asking them questions, and first of all, it does a couple things. It shows them how much I value their time, and I'm taking notes on what they're saying. Okay, that's huge. Secondly is like it allows me to be able to kind of prods or, sets up the next question. Because like something that they say, I'm going to write down. If I have a thought or a question that spurs up, I'm going to write that down real quick as you continue, so I can continue listening with intent. And so then I can go back and say, oh, made me think of this question. Yeah. So it's super powerful. So listen, acknowledge. Number 3 is isolate. You want to isolate that objection. Okay, what type of objection is it? Is it a price objection? Is it a time objection? Is it spoken, unspoken? Whatever that looks like, right? You isolate exactly what that objection is, and then you're able to, number 4, validate or discount. All right, you got to choose, and choose wisely. You either validate or discount. And so, like a great example of a discount is, when I say discount, I'm like this,
make smaller.
Yeah. Don't make a big deal about it. Like, not actually, you never discount your prices.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that.
Discounting like price wise.
So discount their objection. Like, oh, I just paid. This was an objection I heard this weekend, right? I just signed up and invested in another coach. And I had to drop $6,000 for that. I was like, that's awesome. That wouldn't keep you from buying this one, would it? Boom. Close the deal. All right. So you got to understand, validate and discount. So, or both,
Okay.
like, I mean, you could do a little bit of both. Like kind of what I just did when they said, hey, I just spent $6,000. I was like, hey, that's awesome. Congratulations. That's valid. That wouldn't keep you from buying, would it? And those types of questions are able to get them thinking, oh yeah, I guess it really doesn't matter that I did that. Like maybe they just want to hear someone else tell them, hey, good job for investing $6,000 on yourself, or whatever that price point was. Number five is probe to single real objection. Okay. And like that's kind of overlapping 3, which is isolating. So you like if you haven't fully isolated that objection, you really want to probe until you find out exactly why it is they're not buying.
Well, because a lot of times people will be like, oh, well, I don't know if I have the money this month, and I really should talk to my wife, and blah, 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 blah. And they just start listing off a bunch of like excuses of why it won't work. And then you can start sort of honing in, okay, well, do you always talk to your wife before making a decision at this size? Because maybe that's only $50 purchase, or maybe it's a $50,000 purchase, but who knows? Maybe for them, they don't talk about things unless it hits 100,000, or maybe they talk about things whether it's $1 or $500. So you can ask questions to sort of get to the root of, okay, well, do you ever make decisions, without speaking to your wife? Oh, you know what? Yeah, honestly, like
there was that one time,
or this is so small that it really wouldn't be a big deal. Or you know what? She's been talking about this a long time anyway, so I know she'd be on board. So things like that, you can sort of start weaving away. Okay, well, that's not really an objection. So, okay, with the price. Okay, well, I know you said that like you don't really worry about it until it's $50,000. This is only, $10,000. So
your wife knows you're at this event, right? Oh yeah, she knows I'm here. Why did you tell her you're coming to this event? This is a great question. Oh, because I wanted to learn how to grow my business more effectively, efficiently, whatever, right? And then you get to say, do you think by signing up for this podcast launching and this book publishing package, do you think that'll grow your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably? All of a sudden, they're like, yes, it would. I was like, well, if that's the case, your wife already knows that you're going to go ahead and sign up for this. Let's roll. I mean, but you get what I'm saying. Like, whether they actually make the conversation, the call, and like, I do not want to ever for you to hear me say, hey, don't talk to your wife about something, right? I mean, like, we talk to each other about everything, but there's also a lot of leeway. Like, there's a lot of freedom to be able to make decisions.
Well, it's like I was saying just a second ago, like, not all couples have talked this through, but a lot of them have a general basis of like, either we each have our own money, so we make our own decisions freely, or, if it's not at over a certain price point, we can make our own judgment call. So just figuring out what that looks like for that person and then respecting it. Maybe it's a simple, hey, I just like to do a quick phone call. Awesome. Well, can we get on the phone right now? Happy to explain to her what it is so she can help you make a, solid decision on whether it's right for you guys. And that's just a matter of figuring out how that specifically works for that particular person or that company. Because again, maybe with the company, normally the CEO gets involved in a decision like that. But maybe in this specific instance, they said, hey, you know what? We really need sales training. I trust you to make the decision. You find something you like, pull the trigger. You don't need to show me.
Yeah.
And, maybe you had asked in your fact finding who normally makes decisions like this. And they said, well, me and the CEO and such. But in this case, and they didn't tell you this, they have the authority to just make a decision if you make a good enough case for your product and show them it's truly going to benefit them. So just at that point, sort of playing with that a little bit more of, hey, like, is that truly the case? Is that's what you normally do? But this case, do you need their approval? Yes or no, kind of thing. So it's just good to ask these questions and follow up, and be respectful of the client, obviously, but at the same time, help them sort of work through things that might not be real objections.
Yeah. Another great question to ask, to your point about, finding out that decision maker, is, other than yourself, who would be involved in a decision like this? Because what that does is, if the person you're talking to isn't really the decision maker, but they are pretending that they are a decision maker, that helps them save face. Okay. It shows that, hey, you're valuable, but maybe you're not the actual decision maker, but I want you to know, it's all right. Maybe they don't see all that, but like, other than yourself, who would be involved in a decision like this? Oh, so-and-so and so-and-so, and they'll start naming them. You're taking notes, you're writing them down. And then all of a sudden you now have a list of people that you need to get their approval for, or maybe it's just one person. And then you're able to say, hey, when can we get them all on a call?
And sometimes the person you're talking to might not be a decision maker, but they might be an influencer.
Huge point right there.
And that can be almost as, or sometimes more important than speaking to the decision maker themselves, because that person may have a lot more weight over what actually gets decided than anyone else. They may be like, hey, if this influencer, the decision maker may say, if this influencer tells me I should do something, I just do it. I don't even bother looking into it because that's how much I trust them. So influencers are definitely not to be discounted in any way.
Number 6, and one of the most important steps to determine valid or invalid objections here is to tie down. So only to one objection. So when someone, is on the call trying to close you for an event, and you're like, I gotta check my calendar. That's the objection. And it's like, hey, is that it? You're able to determine by probing and isolating that, hey, that is the only objection, is they have to see if they're even available. You then can ask them a question like, hey, if you're available on this date, can I count on you to make the purchase to a VIP ticket, a diamond ticket, whatever, right? Can I count on you? And then now they're going to be forced to come to the realization that they're either going to lie, which it'll be with them forever and ever, or they're going to have to actually respond with a real objection. Other than that, which these are the type of questions that you want to ask. Can I count on you? If your calendar is available, if you're available, can I count on you to ... whatever that looks like.
Well, and a good question similar to that, slightly different, would be another sort of tie down, I guess you could call it. For example, if you're setting up an appointment with someone, but it could also be finalizing a sale. Hey, is there any reason why, you wouldn't purchase this? Or is there any reason why that appointment date wouldn't work? Is there any reason why XYZ wouldn't happen? Because then, say you're trying to set an appointment time, then they're going to go, oh, let me double check my calendar. Let me just make sure. And then they might be like, oh, you know what? I do have a special lunch date that day. Or I do have this. I can't do it then. Or, you know what? I might have a meeting being moved to that day. And you go from them being like, yeah, that time's fine, to, oh, it doesn't work. And then you can find a new one, ask the same question, and lock it down. Whereas same thing with a sale. Is there any reason why you would not purchase this product? Once you've gotten to the point where there's really no other objections, or if this wasn't an issue, their one objection, would there be any other reason why you wouldn't get this product? No, there isn't. It's perfect otherwise.
I love that with price too, by the way. So if someone's like, oh man, you are so expensive, there's just no way. And then you get to say, hey, other than price, right? Like, is that the only objection? So other than the price, would you buy the product? And they're like, well, yeah, if the price wasn't, the problem, yeah. And then you get to figure out, kind of, explain to them the value, because guess what? People only buy, write this down, people only buy when value exceeds price. Okay.
Perceived value too.
That's true. Perceived value exceeds the price.
Because I can look at something and I can perceive a ton of value and be like, oh, that's so worth it. I'm getting way more than my money's worth. And then Kirk can look at the same product and be like, psh, I wouldn't spend $2 on that. Yeah. So it's super important to figure out. That's why it's important to figure out the dominant buying motive. Because if you don't clearly explain how that benefits them and the dominant buying motive for them, then the value isn't going to be there, that perceived value. And you always need that to be higher than the actual price that they're paying. Because otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for them to buy it. For example, if I purchase a book, I expect that I'm going to get enough enjoyment or enough return value from that it's worth more than the $20 that I'm paying for it. I never like you're not buying things when you think that the thing that you're paying is not more than, the bill amount that you actually have.
So the seventh and final step to determining a valid or invalid objection is to close or handle. So step one, listen. Hey, let me write this down. Please tell me. I got it. What else? Tell me more. Thanks for sharing. Tell me everything. These are things you can say while you're in step number one as they're talking to you. Hey, tell me more. What else? These are things that are, as you're taking notes and listening, are things that you can say during that portion of, determining whether it's valid or invalid. Number two is acknowledge. All right. You need to say things like, hey, you're right. I agree with you. I can see that. I am in total agreement. I feel the same way. I get it.
And I would emphasize that it's super important not to argue.
Do not argue. People don't buy from people they don't like.
Well, but even more so, trust. Like it's annoying to have someone argue with you.
Yeah.
I know I was on a sales call with someone who I was interested in their product. They offered a couple different options of like, do it for you, do it yourself. And I was interested in the do it for you option. I was like, this is something I want off my plate. This is something I want done for me, something that I don't want to have to put the time into to get better at. And I just need someone to take care of it. And I don't remember exactly what they said, but basically it was like, no, that's not what's best for you. Like it's better if we teach you how to do it, like the done with you option. Because it's going to be better for your business and this and that. And they started to like try to sell me on that. And I was like, no, like that's not what I want though. Like, I don't really care. This is what I want. And you sell that service. And if you're not willing to sell that to me, then like, I don't know why we're talking. And they kept arguing with me. And by the end of the call, I was just frustrated and didn't want to work with them regardless, even though they had the product that I wanted. And just for whatever reason, were refusing to sell it to me. And I guess another point with that too is it's not that you can't contradict the person, but you have to do it in an affirmative way. So if I come at it and I say, hey, I really want the done for you option. And they're like, oh, I totally understand that. I totally agree. I get where you're coming from. Let me tell you just a little bit about this other option. I think that this could be more beneficial to you. If you're still not interested in that, we can totally fulfill the done for you option. But I really think this will be a more, beneficial option for you. I think this is going to be greater value to you. That would have been a fabulous way to handle it. And guess what? I might have been a lot more open to hearing about what that product looked like. I might have been open more to that solution than someone being like, no, that's not right. Like, I'm going to sell you this instead. Like, okay, well, that's not what I came here for.
Yeah. It's so important that you don't argue. It's so important that you're not negative, because that's going to like make a huge impact on your prospect. Again, they want to work with someone that they like, that they trust. And if you're being someone that's unlikable and untrustworthy because you just pitched me something that you might not have actually had in your, service suite, your product suite, and they actually said yes, and you're like, oh no, oh no, I can't fulfill that, which is probably what happened in that case. Is like,
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows, right? Number 3 is isolate. Again, what are your other concerns? Great question to ask. What else bothers you? Do you have any other reason for not moving forward? Do you have any other objections? If I could solve that one thing, would there be anything else? These are all under the isolation step 3. Step 4 is validates. As you can remember, what's your real objection? Ask them. Like, just straight up ask them. What's your real concern? There's got to be something else. Like, there's got to be something else. When you say that, what do you mean? Why do you say that? That's all under the validation. Okay.
Why is a fabulous question.
Oh, huge.
Like,
But like you gotta figure out ways
obviously,
to say why without saying why.
you don't want to be that
why?
young child that, you know, the mom answers a question, they just go, why? Why? You got to find, you know, more adult, sophisticated ways to verbalize it.
Professional.
But yeah, professional ways. That's your word for the night.
It is my word for the night.
But by getting creative with how you ask why with questions like he was just saying, you're going to be able to get a wealth of information, as well as, honestly, you might help them figure out answers to questions that they didn't initially have themselves. They were sort of sitting there underneath the surface that they're like, I know this is a problem, but I'm not entirely sure why. If you ask good enough questions, you can help them get to the root of their problems as well, and let them walk away even more, you know, knowledgeable about themselves and their things that they're working through with their business than they were at the start.
So I mentioned this before, the magic validator question. Write this down if you didn't previously. That wouldn't keep you from owning it, would it?
No.
That wouldn't keep you from buying it, would it? That wouldn't keep you from fill in the blank, would it? That is such a powerful question. And it'll help them realize that, hey, that's really not a real objection or even a complaint. I don't even know why I said that. I maybe just wanted some, you know, at a girl or at a boy. You just spent $6,000 on a coaching outside of this program that we're in right now. That's awesome. Congrats. That wouldn't keep you from buying this package, would it?
Well, and it also, you know, is a good way to like validate, and like, for example, with that example, that's awesome. Like, maybe that coaching had nothing to do with what this coach is doing. And, you know, you're not going to have your nutrition coach tell you how to do business. It's just like, I think Holly Jackson was talking about that last week. But I heard someone recently say, if it wasn't her, but, you know, different people for different things. And so, for example, maybe they just bought sales training and you're selling them marketing services. It's not the same thing. So that wouldn't stop you from buying marketing services, would it? And the only reason they might say no is maybe now they don't have any budget for it. But that's just another objection for you to figure out a way around. So super, super, super important question.
And number 5, again, determine the type. So this is your heavy probe here. Like, why do you say that? When you say that, can you explain? All right. Anticipate hostility here. Okay. Like, you can anticipate it because you're starting to get to the real root cause of their actual objection. And maybe they just did not want to tell you that they're broke or they're in a lawsuit or whatever that looks like. And so your goal is to determine what type of objection. Remember, there is only one objection, and it's up to you to determine what that is. And so what types of objections do we have? This, you know, is an internal process. You must know why the buyer is objecting and about what. Is this objection valid or invalid? And have you found the real one objection? We talked about product, price, terms, stalls, and time. And the unspoken is like the magic one that, you know, you don't know what it is.
The mystery objection.
But there's going to be
it's like the mystery in candy.
Right.
You're like the little candy balls. It's like a mystery to find out what's inside.
The types of objections that most likely you're going to hear are going to be pricing objections. You know, oh man, that's way too high. Or honestly, it could be the other way around too. If you're trying to pitch to corporate clients and you're trying to sell them $1,000 something, guess what? They're not even going to consider it unless it's 10 grand. Like, literally, corporate offices do not consider any sort of consulting unless there's a minimum of 10 grand.
Well, and for example, I know someone who was had a friend who was trying to raise money for a nonprofit, I believe.
Great example.
And they had been working with this person. They're like, I know that they have like bucket loads of money. Money is not a problem with them. And they just are not willing to donate for some reason. He's like, how much are you asking them to donate? And I think it was like a couple thousand or something like that. And in that person's mind, that was nothing. That was a tiny sum that wasn't going to make any true difference. So this person goes, he's like, let me talk to him. Let me just see what I can do. So he talked to him, and I think he got him to donate like a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when he had talked to him, he found out that the guy's objection to donating was that when they were asking him for a couple $1,000s, he was like, that's not going to make a difference. That's too small to really make a dent and be worth my giving the money. But when they asked for a couple $100,000, he was like, that'll make a difference. That's enough money that they can actually do something with. And he was more than happy to give them the $100,000. So same thing with your clients, especially like Kirk was saying with corporate clients. If you've worked primarily with, say, residential or small businesses, whatever your service is, or your product, just be aware that as you try to move into corporate clients, they look at things differently. It's sort of a little bit like working with the government almost in certain ways, but they're going to look at that. And if it's not a certain price point, they're going to go, that's probably either not worth it, too small a company, not going to be able to fulfill our needs. So it's important to make sure you're pricing high enough and getting a good idea what that industry is pricing things at so that you can appropriately enter the marketplace. What?
I just realized I was staring at the screen, not smiling, and then like for like during the whole period of time, and then I looked down and I saw my face, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
This is a good example of Kirk not practicing listening.
It happens from time to time. So yeah, I truly have no idea what you just said, so I can't even I was like staring at the screen. I'm not sure where I went there.
Okay, so that's an example of what not to do.
What not to do. I'll tell you, like I got some blood work done today, and I got a little like afterwards. So I'm not sure if I've ever experienced that before, but maybe it's just a little side effect after the fact. I don't know. Step number 6: close or handle. So you need to get if you I would highly recommend a book called Closer Survival Guide by Grant Cardone. It literally has like hundreds of closes that are pretty much any kind of situation you can possibly think of. You can also do Cardone University. Like there's a whole section in there about mastering objections.
And I mean, any kind of structure is perfect then to be able to tweak. Like you're not going to let everything exactly how it is, but you need something to then work off. It's like with art. People are like, oh, I want to break all the rules. You need to learn the rules before you can properly break them. You need to have a structure before you can tweak it.
Yeah, so like I mean that's a great point there, because it made me think about the Secret Service. Most people don't realize that the Secret Service, their main role is counterfeits, counterfeit bills.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's a very small portion of Secret Service agents that do the Presidential Protection Detail, but they do a lot of counterfeit work. And the way that they know how to spot a counterfeit is that they study the real thing. Like that is all they do. They study the real thing. So just like that, you should apply that same concept to your business. And what that'll do is that'll allow you, and when you're studying the real thing, and when I say the real thing, it is the real thing of your sales process, your sales training, your role playing. That's the real thing. Because if you can master those things, then you're able to actually come to the table ready to handle any objection and present and ask quality questions in a way that is intriguing and it's an obvious sell. Because look, if your why is big enough, like your vision, again, rescue site, our vision is to create a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. That's a massive vision. It's massive. And we can't do it by ourselves. That's why we're bringing people like you in on that vision. But when you succeed, we succeed. And so creating a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest, that is so powerful. And so when your why is that big, then you're going to be able to attract people. Like, look at Elon Musk. I'm going to Mars. Like, that's attracting people because his why and his mission is so huge that people want to align with that. And if your mission isn't big, then you're going to have a hard time finding, attracting, and retaining quality people to further that mission, that vision, your core values. So if you do not have a vision that you can like whip out, if you don't have a mission that you can whip out without, with the drop of a hat, and if you don't know those core values and your team doesn't know your core values, guess what? Like, how do you possibly conceive the idea that you can attract other people if you don't even know what you're attracted to? So make sure if you hear anything tonight, make sure that you have your vision, your mission, your core values, because you're going to be able to weave that into every single sales process, every single demo, every single conversation. Hey, my name is Kirk with Rescue Site. I'm creating a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. What's your name? Powerful. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I know we are at the 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so we're just going to have to close for the night. But listen, we have a very special guest coming next Tuesday. And make sure to mark your calendars every single Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so if you're in Central Pacific, you can do the calculations. But 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're here every Tuesday to help you grow your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably, all while achieving your personal, professional, financial goals. My name is Kirk. This is Beth, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
As a CPR instructor, you probably get asked how and where to buy equipment like defibrillators and first aid kits. Up to now, you've probably either shrugged off the question or told them to Google it. Don't miss opportunities like that. Instead, be the one to not only provide the knowledge of how to save a life, but also the resources to be ready to rescue. It's time to become a Rescue Site affiliate, and it's incredibly easy to do. Introducing the Rescue Site Affiliate Program, the only customizable platform with every FDA-approved defibrillator on the market, first aid equipment, and so much more. Now with the Rescue Site Affiliate Program, you can recommend products and earn commissions without having to purchase, warehouse, or ship products. When you become a Rescue Site affiliate today, you are automatically approved and will receive a customizable link to your store with your name on it. You earn commissions from all qualifying purchases through the traffic you drive to your new store. Whether you're just getting started as a CPR instructor, whether you have a team of instructors, or whether you're a training center with thousands of instructors across the country, this program is for you. Stop shrugging and start providing both the knowledge and the resources to save more lives. Become a Rescue Site affiliate today.